Carrie Underwood arrived on the set of The View with her usual grace, calm smile, immaculate posture, and eyes that reflected years of experience under the brightest lights in America. The audience applauded wildly as she took her seat across from Joy Behar, who leaned forward with a grin that didn't quite reach her eyes. Cameras rolled. Mics were hot. Every heartbeat inside the studio echoed with anticipation. Carrie was there to promote her new project, a heartfelt tribute album inspired by faith and resilience. But Joy had other plans. Before the first question was even finished, viewers could feel the tension. Joy's tone was sharp, almost confrontational, as she questioned the relevance of faith-based music in what she called a modern industry. Carrie's smile didn't fade, but her jaw tightened, just slightly. She answered with a calm voice, speaking of hope, unity, and the power of music to heal. But Joy interrupted again. The crowd shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Co-hosts glanced at each other. Producers behind the cameras exchanged urgent looks. Something was happening, something unscripted, something real. The atmosphere no longer felt like a morning show. It felt like a showdown. And Carrie Underwood had just decided she wasn't going to back down. Joy Behar leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms as though preparing for a duel. "Carrie," she said, narrowing her eyes, "don't you think pushing traditional values in today's America is divisive?" The crowd gasped. Carrie's expression remained composed, but the spark in her eyes had changed. She wasn't angry, but she was done being polite. With unwavering poise, she replied, "What divides people is not faith or values, it's the refusal to respect them." Her words were calm, but they struck with the weight of truth. Several audience members burst into applause, while Joy pressed her lips tightly, clearly irritated. Instead of moving on, Joy doubled down. "So you're saying people who don't agree with you are disrespectful?" Carrie blinked slowly, as if steadying herself. "No," she answered gently, "I'm saying that kindness should be universal. No matter what you believe." Her voice resonated through the studio, steady, powerful. Suddenly, the cameras zoomed in closer. The energy was electric. The co-hosts shifted uneasily, realizing the conversation had slipped out of their control. One co-host attempted to steer the topic elsewhere, but Joy interrupted again. That's when Carrie made her decision. She uncrossed her hands, stood up slowly, and said softly, "If kindness is controversial, maybe the controversy isn't with me." The room fell completely silent. The moment Carrie rose from her seat, the entire studio froze. You could hear the rustle of paper in the control booth, a producer whispering frantically into a headset. Joy Behar stared up at her, stunned, not expecting her guest to actually walk away. Carrie didn't storm off. She didn't raise her voice. She simply gathered the folds of her elegant dress and stepped back gracefully. "I came here to speak from the heart," she said, her voice resonating through every speaker in the room, "not to be ridiculed for having one." The audience erupted, some in cheers, others in disbelief. Joy tried to interject, "Are you really leaving over a simple question?" But Carrie had already turned toward the exit. A co-host called out, "Carrie, please, let's finish respectfully," but it was too late. The moment had gone viral, and the cameras stayed locked on her determined walk. A little girl in the front row, no older than 12, stood up and clapped with tears in her eyes. Carrie glanced back, met her gaze, and gave a soft, reassuring smile. That image would soon spread across every social platform in America. Carrie Underwood choosing dignity over drama. And with that, she exited the stage. Outside the studio, chaos unfolded. Paparazzi and production staff scrambled as the automatic doors swung open. Carrie stepped into the morning sunlight, her heart pounding, not from regret, but from relief. Her phone buzzed non-stop. Messages, missed calls, news alerts. She'd only been off stage for 2 minutes, and already hashtags were trending. Inside, Joy tried to regain control. "Well," she said sharply, "that was dramatic." But the audience reaction was not what she expected. Many booed. Some shouted, "Respect people's beliefs." Others stood up and walked out themselves. Backstage, even crew members began clapping for Carrie, quietly at first, then louder. A camera operator whispered, "Thank you for standing strong." Meanwhile, networks began replaying the moment in real time, calling it the walkout heard across America. Carrie paused at the studio steps. She looked back once, not in anger, but in disappointment, and then walked toward her car. Her driver opened the door, saying softly, "Ma'am, the whole country is talking about you." Carrie took a deep breath, knowing this was no longer about a TV segment. It was bigger, much bigger. By noon, the nation was divided, but the majority stood with Carrie. Her social media had exploded with millions of messages, some from fans, some from people who had never listened to her music before but felt inspired by her courage. Major news outlets reported it as a defining moment in entertainment history, a celebrity refusing to be cornered or mocked. A viral clip circulated with the caption, "Grace under fire." Even celebrities began posting in support. Carrie spoke for millions today. Later that evening, Carrie released a statement, not defensive, not blaming anyone. Just heartfelt. "We are all free to believe what we choose," she wrote. "But the moment we shame someone for speaking with love, we lose the very thing that keeps us human." That message was shared more than any song she'd ever released. Across America, fans gathered in churches, community centers, and living rooms, playing her songs not just as music, but as anthems of strength. Carrie didn't just walk off a show. She walked into history.